The standoff over green technology between the United States and China, which began with U.S. restrictions on semiconductor exports, has escalated with China's recent curb on graphite exports. This move led to a dramatic 93.3% drop in China's global graphite shipments in December, severely impacting the supply to the United States and Japan, the latter a collaborator in semiconductor controls. These developments underscore the vulnerability of U.S. supply chains and hazard the derailment of its net zero goals. Graphite plays a pivotal role in sustainable energy solutions. It's used in electric vehicles, solar panels, and even nuclear reactors. According to the International Energy Agency, to keep pace with the green transition, a significant ramp-up in graphite production, by as much as 25 times, will be necessary by 2040. While China has a commanding position in the global market, it's not the only game in town. My brief examines opportunities and challenges for Madagascar, Mozambique, and Tanzania to contribute to diversifying the U.S. graphite supply. These African nations possess ample reserves, and major graphite projects are operated by entities headquartered in friendly Western countries. However, there are obstacles, from local governance challenges to integrating these supplies given the constraints of U.S. industrial policy. East Africa is poised to be a major player in the graphite market, with Madagascar and Mozambique already contributing a significant share of global exports. Tanzania is an up-and-coming producer, bolstered by substantial foreign investment. Together, these three nations provided over a fifth of U.S. graphite imports in 2022, with reserves nearly matching those of leading producers like China and Brazil. The U.S. views this region as strategically important, being a major development aid donor and benefits from generally positive sentiment among the respective populations. This dynamic positions East African countries as potential key partners in diversifying the U.S. graphite supply. However, challenges loom. The current exports from East Africa are primarily low-value graphite forms requiring further processing, which may affect their eligibility for tax incentives under U.S. policy. Furthermore, political instability in Madagascar and Mozambique poses risk to supply chains, making Tanzania the most appealing alternative. Principles. First, it seeks to reduce reliance on China for raw and refined materials. East African countries, with their Western-operated mines, offer an alternative, although they still export substantially to China. Second, supply chains should rely on stable, friendly nations aligned with U.S. interests. The East African producers have friendlier stances towards the United States than China, voting with the U.S. more frequently than China in the UN General Assembly. Though as this chart demonstrates, they fall short of being ideal democratic and/or like-minded partners, especially compared to a country like Brazil. Sourcing graphite from East African producers faces some challenges due to U.S. policy established by the Inflation Reduction Act. This legislation incentivizes the use of domestically sourced or free trade agreement partner-sourced components and minerals in electric vehicles through substantial tax credits. The tax credit is structured to encourage the assembly of battery components and the mining or processing of critical minerals within North America or countries with which the United States has a free trade agreement. The content requirements for those components and minerals are set to increase gradually, reaching up to 100% by 2029 for battery parts and 80% by 2027 for minerals. Madagascar, Mozambique, and Tanzania are not free trade agreement partners, although they do have preferential access to the U.S. market under the African Growth and Opportunity Act. AGOA allows certain products from these countries to enter the U.S. market with reduced barriers, but does not reciprocate the reduction of trade barriers for U.S. goods and, crucially, does not align with the specific stipulations of the IRA for critical minerals. Thus, graphite from these nations would need processing within the United States to qualify, limiting the scope for development of processing industries within the African nations themselves. Here, Mozambique holds a potential edge via Sahara Resources, which operates the Balama mine and a processing facility in Louisiana, making it the only such vertically integrated operation outside China currently poised to fully capitalize on IRA incentives. So, in conclusion, Madagascar, Mozambique, and Tanzania have potential to provide natural graphite to meet U.S. demand. Tanzania is notable for its political stability compared to the other two, though it's relatively new to large-scale graphite production. Yet, the urgency highlighted by China's export controls might create bipartisan space to secure critical mineral supplies from these East African partners.